The Queen understood the value of having someone in the royal family who knew real life, stayed humble, and upheld a strong sense of duty. That understanding, passed from mother to daughter, gave Kate a steady foundation as her royal responsibilities grew. Over time, I want to take this moment to personally thank you for all the kind messages of support, and for your understanding as I've been recovering from surgery. The royal world is facing a level of upheaval like never before. After years of whispers, secrecy, and carefully maintained appearances, Carole and Kate Middleton have finally shared a truth about the royal family that they've kept hidden for a long time. This revelation turns the royal story upside down and leaves everything we thought we knew hanging in the balance. Could it have something to do with the future of the monarchy? Join us as we explore what they've revealed and why it matters. When the Middletons first became connected to the royals, they were seen as ordinary people by those within the royal circle. They came from Berkshire, lived a normal life, and ran a party supply business. They had no noble titles, no historic lineage, and no ties to the aristocracy. Many assumed they would never play a significant role in royal affairs. Over the years, without flashy announcements or public displays, the Middletons became one of the most influential families linked to the monarchy. Carole and Michael Middleton raised their children with strong values like hard work, honesty, and staying grounded. They didn't grow up in luxury or with servants, but they learned to navigate real-life challenges with resilience. These lessons shaped their children into mature, thoughtful adults, qualities sometimes overlooked in the highly traditional royal environment. These same traits helped Kate earn the deep trust of the late Queen. As Kate transitioned from an ordinary young woman to the Princess of Wales, the world admired her composure and grace. But behind her, there was always one constant: her mother, Carole Middleton. She wasn't just a parent watching from the sidelines. She was a guide, a source of comfort, and the person Kate turned to during life's most difficult moments. Carole had built her own success from the ground up through her small business, learning patience and perseverance along the way. But nothing could fully prepare her for the scrutiny of royal life. As Kate entered the royal family, the pressures multiplied. Cameras everywhere, rules to follow, endless public expectations. Through it all, Carole stayed by her daughter's side, offering stability and reassurance. When Kate became the target of intense media attention, Carole was there. When palace traditions kept silent during private challenges, Carole quietly provided comfort and protection. During Kate's pregnancies, when she faced hyperemesis gravidarum, Carole stayed close to ensure her daughter had peace and privacy away from the spotlight. Her role wasn't political or public, but it was invaluable. She offered encouragement, instilled confidence, and helped Kate know when to speak and when to remain silent. These qualities, which Queen Elizabeth admired, were not shaped by royal protocol. They came from Carole's way of raising her daughter. Opal noticed just how much she leaned on her mother, not for fame, but for wisdom. Carole never sought the spotlight, yet her quiet strength has been a guiding force for her daughter in one of the most complex roles in the world. James Middleton and her younger sister also shared the same careful nature and calm personality. They lived by the same values: respect, kindness, and determination. They didn't chase fame or status, but carried themselves with steady confidence. Their example proved that true influence doesn't come from a title, but from the way you live, how you treat others, and how you remain strong in challenging times. Queen Elizabeth recognized something special in the Middletons early on. She understood that the monarchy's future could not rely solely on tradition and royal bloodlines. It needed real families with strong morals who understood life beyond palace walls. The Middletons showed that it was possible to stay grounded while being close to royalty. Their influence grew gradually, and what once appeared to be an ordinary family became central to royal life. The royal family, long shaped by noble history and rigid rules, found something refreshing in the Middletons. As Kate took on greater responsibilities, it became clear they were no longer outsiders. They were part of the royal story. Their journey from a modest home in Berkshire to the heart of the monarchy proved that the future of royalty isn't just about old customs, but about the strength that comes from family, hard work, and values that resonate with everyone, not just those born with crowns. From the very start of their relationship, William stayed close to Kate, not only as a royal partner, but as someone deeply connected to her on every level. Their bond was built on love, trust, and a shared sense of duty. When palace life grew difficult, when outside pressures mounted, and when old traditions clashed with modern ideas, William didn't need to make grand declarations. His loyalty showed through his consistent presence and quiet actions. Life behind the palace walls wasn't always perfect. There were moments of struggle, fear, and pain. Kate's health challenges and the relentless media attention made even simple moments stressful. Yet William was always there, helping her carry both the emotional and royal burdens, so she never faced anything alone. Together they navigated situations few could imagine, growing stronger with each challenge. Those around them saw that theirs was no mere formal match. They shared everything, from the pressures of public life to the small, everyday details of raising their children. They worked as a team, unlike the distant royal couples of the past. Parenting wasn't something they left entirely to nannies. They stayed actively involved in their children's lives, creating a warm and engaged family environment. Their relationship was defined by commitment as much as affection, a working partnership built on respect and purpose. In a royal family where women often felt isolated, Kate was never left to stand alone. William's constant support helped her stay strong, even in the hardest moments. This partnership not only carried them through personal challenges, but also reshaped how the public saw the monarchy, offering a modern example of unity and leadership. But before we continue, we'd love for you to hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying this video. If you just did, we truly appreciate it. Now, let's get back to the main content. When they stepped out for royal engagements, it wasn't just about smiling for photographs. It was about presenting a united front and fulfilling shared goals. This strength didn't appear overnight. Kate's calm demeanor and confident public image were years in the making. Before she ever became Duchess, she prepared herself for the role. Some nicknamed her Weighty Katie for the length of time she waited for a proposal, but during those years she wasn't simply waiting, she was learning. She studied royal etiquette, diplomacy, how to handle the press, and the subtle rules of palace life. She also worked in the fashion industry, balancing a normal job with the constant glare of the media. By the time the engagement came, Kate wasn't stepping into the unknown. She was ready. Her patience, intelligence, and behind-the-scenes preparation shaped her into the poised figure the world now knows. But no amount of preparation could shield her entirely from the personal challenges of royal life. Motherhood brought some of her greatest tests. For many women, pregnancy is a private matter, but for Kate, each pregnancy became front-page news. She battled hyperemesis gravidarum, a severe illness that left her extremely unwell, and endured it all while under intense public scrutiny. The world watched and waited for her public appearances, expecting her to keep smiling. She pushed through days filled with pain, nausea, and exhaustion. Even at her lowest, the cameras never stopped. The media never relented. Yet every time she stepped outside, Kate stood tall, her posture poised, her expression calm. Those difficult days didn't break her. They gave her a greater purpose. The experience inspired her to bring more focus to these issues in her royal work. She understood what it was like to suffer under public scrutiny and wanted to make a difference for others in the same position. Her greatest challenge became balancing two roles, being a devoted mother and a modern royal. She never stepped back from either. Instead of simply following tradition, she shaped new ones. She embraced social media, engaged in hands-on charity work, and introduced emotional awareness into royal conversations. Step by step, she quietly began steering the royal family toward a more modern path. But change within the monarchy came in an unexpected way, revealing a long-guarded truth. At Balmoral, the royal family arrived expecting what they always found: tradition, routines, polite conversations, and respectful reflection. The Scottish estate had always been a place of order, where family gathered in a familiar and formal way. They prepared for another occasion of dignified formality. This year was different. The gathering began as it always had, but soon took a different turn. Kate, calm as ever, held a letter in her hand. It was the final message Queen Elizabeth II had written before her passing. When the moment came, she read it aloud. Her voice was steady, carrying the Queen's words clearly across the room. The letter wasn't just a farewell. It marked a turning point, drawing a line between what had been and what must come next. Centuries of tradition seemed to shift. Charles lowered his eyes in silence. Camilla sat still, her jaw tight. Anne and Edward exchanged uneasy glances. The air in the room grew heavier. The message gave direction. It offered purpose. And it pointed directly to Kate. From that moment, Balmoral became more than a royal retreat. It became the place where the future of the monarchy changed. No crown was placed on her head. No ceremony marked the moment. But everyone in the room understood what had happened. Long before the public began to see her as a future queen, Elizabeth had already chosen her. Their bond had grown over years, built during private visits to Balmoral, far from photographers and official duties. They walked together through quiet gardens, shared tea in private rooms, and spoke openly, conversations that shaped what came next. During those visits, the Queen did something unprecedented. She gave Kate freedoms no other royal bride had been granted. She allowed her to speak in her own voice, make her own choices, and lead in her own way. This was no casual gesture. The Queen saw in Kate something rare. Grace paired with resilience, patience matched with a deep sense of duty. Over the years, Elizabeth wrote Kate many letters, before important engagements, during pregnancies, and in moments of intense public pressure. They offered guidance, encouragement, and lessons in leadership. They explained when to stand firm, when to bend, and when to let go. Each letter strengthened the trust between them, a trust that evolved into a plan. Camilla might have held the formal title, but Kate held the Queen's confidence. In those written words were not only care and support, but a clear vision for the future. Elizabeth had chosen her, not just as William's partner, but as a royal leader in her own right. After the Queen's passing, the palace made a discovery no one had anticipated. Inside a private drawer lay a collection of handwritten letters, all from Queen Elizabeth, each one addressed to Kate. These weren't casual notes. They were deeply personal and full of meaning. One letter, in particular, left no room for doubt. The Queen had written clearly that Kate was the future Queen Consort. Princess Anne had known this all along. She understood that their mother saw Kate not only as a supportive wife, but as a capable figure the crown could depend on. For Camilla, the moment was unsettling. She had arrived at Balmoral certain of her position. She was the Queen Consort, with the title, the crown, and the role. But the discovery of these letters changed everything. They weren't just words of praise. They revealed a carefully considered plan, one that placed Kate at the center of the monarchy's future. The letters showed that the Queen had set aside certain traditions, not for the sake of change alone, but because she saw something steadfast in Kate. As their contents circulated through the palace, the meaning became impossible to ignore. The Queen had been shaping the future long before her final days. Then, with perfect timing, Princess Anne shared something else, a final detail no one expected, the missing piece of the story. Camilla had walked into that meeting with her head high, wearing the title of Queen Consort with pride. She stood beside King Charles in elegance, dressed in the finest attire, every move under public scrutiny. After years of staying in the background, she had reached the pinnacle of royal life. But Anne revealed that before her death, the Queen had entrusted her with private words meant for the right moment. She recounted a conversation in which the Queen said she believed the monarchy's future would be safest in Kate's hands. Kate, she said, had the trust of the public and the temperament to carry the crown through difficult times. The moment those words were spoken, something shifted. Camilla's expression changed ever so slightly. It wasn't anger or shock. It was disappointment, the quiet realization of being replaced. After all her work to prove herself, had her role only been temporary? Camilla had fought for years to be accepted, slowly moving from the sidelines to standing proudly beside the king. But perhaps her position had never been fully secure. Maybe, just maybe, she had only been keeping the seat warm until Kate was ready. The Queen had always cared deeply about the monarchy's future, and she knew change was inevitable. Camilla embodied tradition. Kate represented renewal. In public, the two women presented unity. Behind the scenes, the dynamic was more complicated. One telling moment came when the Queen lent some of her most treasured jewels to Kate instead of Camilla. In royal circles, these choices spoke volumes. They were messages without words. Camilla noticed. So did others. Slowly, more of the Queen's trust and symbolic gestures went to Kate. Camilla stood for the old ways, formality, distance, and reserved dignity. She followed protocol to the letter and kept her emotions guarded. Kate, in contrast, brought warmth and approachability. She smiled easily, hugged children, laughed with families, and connected naturally with the people she met. Her work in mental health, parenting, and education only strengthened her popularity. These were subjects once considered too personal for royal involvement, but Kate embraced them fully. She didn't demand change loudly. She showed it quietly, day after day, through action. Some within the palace disapproved, seeing her approach as too informal. But the public adored her for it. Kate made royalty feel human, and while Camilla wore the crown, Kate held the people's hearts. In today's world, tradition alone isn't enough. Kate wasn't rejecting the crown, she was reshaping it into something that fit the times. Through small acts of kindness and modern choices, she had become the future of the monarchy. The late Queen saw it clearly and expressed it in her final letters. She believed in Kate's ability to lead the royal family into an era of change. In the royal world, nothing is done casually. Every action carries meaning. Every gesture, every moment, every choice is deliberate. There was no open conflict between Camilla and Kate, but the difference between them was apparent at every public appearance, in every fashion choice, and in every word to the press. The shift was slow but steady. Camilla holds the present. Kate holds the future. Kate's rise wasn't sudden. It was carefully guided and supported over many years through her public work, charitable efforts, and quiet backing from Queen Elizabeth. Camilla continues to carry her title with dignity, but deep down she must know she is part of a larger plan, one built not just on preserving tradition, but on ensuring the monarchy can evolve. The transition has already begun, and in time the crown will move into new hands. The long road to acceptance. When Camilla entered the royal family, much of the country resisted her. Many saw her as the woman who had replaced Princess Diana, whose memory was still deeply cherished. Even after marrying Prince Charles, public opinion remained divided, with the media repeatedly framing her as the cause of the marriage's collapse. This image stayed with her for years, and changing it took time. Her path into royal life was slow and deliberate. Inside the family, opinions were mixed. Some welcomed her, others remained doubtful. Queen Elizabeth was one of the most cautious. She disapproved of the idea of Camilla marrying her son and didn't hide her feelings. For years, she kept her distance, avoiding public appearances with Camilla and leaving her out of many royal events. It wasn't until 2000 that she showed the first sign of softening by attending a birthday party at Highgrove House, where Charles and Camilla lived. It was a small gesture, but it marked a turning point. Even then, her acceptance came gradually. She seemed to follow the public's lead, warming up little by little. When the Queen allowed the marriage, she chose not to attend the civil ceremony, a decision that spoke volumes without words. The event was formal, but lacked the warmth often seen in royal weddings. In the official photographs, Charles and Camilla stood at the front while the Queen and Prince Philip kept their distance, not stepping forward for close shots. Princess Anne's reaction was even more telling. She stood apart, her face unsmiling, avoiding eye contact with Camilla. Her silence spoke clearly. She wasn't happy with the marriage. Though Camilla was now Charles's wife, her place in the royal family was still debated. Some questioned whether she should represent the crown at all. The Queen herself hesitated at first, especially when it came to Camilla taking on Church of England roles. These uncertainties only made Camilla's position more complicated. Behind the scenes, Charles moved carefully. He sought to protect his future as king while gradually winning over his mother. Over time, he highlighted Camilla's strengths and presented her in a more favorable light. Then, in February 2022, a significant shift came. The Queen publicly declared that she wanted Camilla to be queen consort when Charles took the throne. This statement solidified her role, though public opinion remained divided. Some felt she had earned it. Others could not forgive the past. Camilla worked to settle into her position, adopting a warm and approachable demeanor to build connections. But her relationship with Princess Anne remained strained. While Camilla preferred a more relaxed, easygoing style, Anne was a traditionalist, strict, methodical, and deeply committed to her duties. Anne's work ethic and dislike for anything that seemed unplanned made it hard for the two women to find common ground. From the beginning, their relationship carried tension. Camilla was still learning what her new life demanded, and Anne did little to make that transition easier. Yet, despite their differences, both women remained committed to the royal family. Anne remained skeptical, rarely agreeing with how Camilla handled matters. These tensions added to the pressure inside the royal household. When Charles became king and Camilla stepped into her role as queen consort, old wounds resurfaced. Some praised her loyalty and quiet dedication over the years, while others still saw her as a reminder of past scandals. Despite wearing the crown, full acceptance remained elusive. Camilla had spent years supporting Charles, staying in the background, and working carefully to earn her place. Then came Kate, elegant, composed, and instantly embraced by the public. She appeared to move through royal life effortlessly. What Camilla had fought for, Kate seemed to receive without struggle. Comparisons were unavoidable. Kate reminded many of Diana, graceful, beloved, and natural in her role. Standing beside her, Camilla was often overshadowed. At events, cheers were for Kate. Cameras followed her every step, and Camilla, though queen, sometimes felt invisible. In an effort to assert herself, Camilla took on more royal duties, but Kate's influence continued to grow. Her young family symbolized the monarchy's future. Her elegance, youth, and quiet confidence made her a favorite, not just with the public, but within palace circles as well. Then came the turning point. Letters from Queen Elizabeth surfaced. In them, the late queen hinted at a future shaped by Kate. These weren't grand declarations, but subtle signs of trust. Kate was more than a royal consort. She was being prepared for leadership. Camilla, once assured in her position, now faced quiet doubt. The queen's words cast a long shadow. Whispers began. Was Kate the true queen in waiting? For Kate, it was never about openly seeking power. With the steady guidance of her mother, Carole Middleton, she had been prepared over many years. Behind the scenes, trust was built, not through headlines, but through grace and consistency. The public sees it now. Kate moves with a strength that isn't loud but impossible to miss. She's becoming the monarchy's anchor not through rigid tradition, but through connection, stability, and quiet leadership. Camilla may hold the title, but Kate holds the future. The monarchy is evolving, and at the heart of this change is a woman who never rushed, never demanded, but earned her place through patience and trust. This is more than a royal shift. It's the beginning of a new era.